Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, the internet? I am not Mathias. You can tell that because he has more hair and a deeper voice than I do. Yeah, that's true. Anyhow, I'm producer Kyle. This is Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff shows, where we talk about books that are on Final Order Cutoff on Monday, which is the last chance your comic book shop has to order these books. Now, some of you were probably with me like an hour or so ago, half hour ago, when I was getting ready for the show and I was live on Instagram and on YouTube and just kind of hanging out, doing a hangout Q&A thing. But since then, I've watched a YouTube video from another channel that talks about how everybody on comic book YouTube is bald and bearded and sitting in front of a wall of comic book stuff. Well, guess what? Today's co-host, since Mathias isn't here, is also bald and bearded. So super fun times. But we are gonna talk about books that are on order this week on Final Order Cutoff. And we are going to break down the things we are most excited for. What up, Mr. Nope? So, guys, I'm going to play the intro. I'm going to tell you what FOC is, and then we're going to bring up our guest, and we are going to get right into it.
Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
So that was Mathias telling you what FOC is, and we show that every week. And every week I get reminded that I forgot to order the Dan Mora cover. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome in our special guest. He spent a lot of years working at what I believe is the third biggest retailer in the country at this point, and the shop that I model my dream shop after. And now he is, he has a big fancy title, but he works for Oni Press and tells me what I need to know about what's coming out from Oni Press. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Torma.
Hey, Hey, it's Torma. That's right. Torma from Oni Press here. Thank you for having me, Kyle. I'll try to help out where I can and pick up the slack. I'm no Mathias, but yeah, we'll have some fun. A little bit about me. I am a bald man with a beard on the internet talking about comics, and I don't think there's enough of those out there. So
No. Could always use more.
Always need more. Always.
But
yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, Torma, you spent a lot of years working with, again, what I believe is now the third biggest retailer in the country, Third Eye Comics.
Yeah, no, that's how I got my comics start. For 15 years, I worked at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland. Started from a tiny little location, no bigger than the room I'm in right now, to the monstrosity, that it is today with
like half a city block at this point.
Exactly. The main store is half a city block, and it's everything from comics to toys, statues, records, VHS tapes, DVDs, board games, card games, Warhammer. Yeah, everything. And then, now I work at Oni Press. A few years ago, I left Third Eye, and now I'm a senior sales manager over at Oni Press.
What senior sales manager means is that Torma reminds Kyle, hey, man, this book is coming out and you should probably order it.
You should check it out. Yeah. I just, it's a fancy way of saying I talk to comic book shops.
Right. And that's why we have Torma on the show, guys. This is his second or third time on the show now at this point. Second time. Because when people talk to comic shops every day, they know Free For All was huge this week. Yeah. I reviewed Free For All way back, I think probably at FOC of Free For All.
Yeah.
And I lost track of when it came out. So I got to the shop this week. It was like, oh, hey, it's here.
Yeah. That's always a good surprise when you're excited about something and it just suddenly shows up. It's like Christmas, you get your presents a little early. And Mr. Nope, thank you so much. Free For All is amazing. It's the sci-fi future, the hard to believe future where billionaires are controlling everything. Who would have thought? We could ever live in a world like that? But for Free For All to hold on to their wealth, instead of, staying directly at the top, they have to battle each other to see who gets to keep, their side of the wealth, so to speak. They battle to the death. You have head smashing, billionaire bashing. It's an amazing one shot from Patrick Horvath. If you've read, Beneath the Trees is amazing. Richard Scarry meets Dexter kind of serial killer book from IDW a few years ago. Definitely check it out. He's in amazing form. There's plenty of like his dissection artwork within there, his gross little details, it's going to be an evergreen title on everybody's shelf. But yeah, thank you.
And for anybody who wants to know, we did an interview on this show with Patrick Horvath a few weeks ago. That will be available on YouTube probably midweek of next week.
Right on. Yeah,
I'm a little behind on getting that stuff cut up and put up, but I'm getting caught up as time goes on. So, but I was talking about this before we talked about Oni Press a little bit, but Torma talks to comic shops, and anybody who talks to comic shops undoubtedly and unendingly knows the struggle of ordering comics.
Yeah.
And at the same time, understands the language that we all use. So having somebody who is doing this regularly is a valuable asset to the show. So that's part of why we bring Torma on. Also, like any excuse I get to hang out with Torma, I'm going to take.
Well, Kyle, thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Anytime I get to hang out with you, dude, I'm always stoked, I got to talk about comics. Yeah. That's
at some point we will devolve into wrestling talk and people will tune out, but that's okay.
That's fine too. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into the books that are on order this week. And so, guys, as always, we're using two primary resources today, which are previewsworld.com/final orders due and Lunar Distribution and their FOC section on lunardistribution.com. Everybody can see that. You just have to scroll like a quarter of the way down on lunardistribution.com. We will come to that later. But we are going to start with previewsworld.com/final orders due. So the first section you see on here is Image Comics. And Image has a lot of stuff on offer this week. It's kind of a big Image week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're going to start here. This is a book, Department of Truth. The the Tiny Onion himself with Martin Simmons. Guys, if you believe that birds aren't real,
birds are actually little robots, that surveillance droids, Yeah.
Mhm. Right. If you believe that birds aren't real, or that JFK was an inside job, or any of that kind of stuff, Department of Truth is your book. This is a book that has taken conspiracy theories and turned them up to 30, and then made you wonder what's real and what's not. And Tinian is doing a great job. They charge themselves on the power lines. You're right.
They absolutely do. I've seen the blueprints for them. That's on the in their feet. They have little chargers. No, Department of Truth. I mean, Tinian has created an amazing sort of paranoid, is the best way I can put it. Paranoid like reality, where it feels like it's like X-Files. It reminds me a lot of like X-Files, but with every conspiracy theory. The belief is that the more you believe in something, the stronger that it gets and becomes an actual like reality. So what's a good example? Early on, I remember there's like one issue where they come across a lizard person, and they're like, the lizard person's like, I live in the center of the earth and I control, everything. And they go, don't believe in him. It only gives him power. And they just like run past him without even trying to address what it is. Like it's a book where it's like the X-Files if everything you believed was true or could be potentially true.
Right. It's the way I equated it in the old days when it first came out was it's American Gods, where if you believe in the conspiracy theory, it exists, but when people stop believing in it, it dies.
Yep.
This is very similar to that. But again, this is a super interesting story. 30 issues in. One of my complaints about Tinian, and people have heard it here on The Experience, is that sometimes he be out here doing too much. And sometimes stuff maybe ebbs and flows. His writing ebbs and flows just as he's busy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, basket full of heads. But this one never does. So shout out to Department of Truth and Tinian on this book. Next up from Image Comics, this is one that I wanted to bring to people's attention, because when I asked Mathias about it, he's like, man, oh no, not enough people are reading it. I clicked the wrong thing on my computer, and now my computer is freaking out. But this is Dust to Dust. Am I still here?
Yeah, I still see you. Yeah, you're still there. Dust to Dust.
You're just spazzed out. Sorry.
Oh no, it happens. I mean, that's that's the wonders of doing it live, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Dust to Dust. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it, Kyle. I haven't caught up on Dust to Dust. I've only read like the first 3 issues, unfortunately.
I picked up the first 2 at Comics Pro and then went deep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. J.G. Jones took a while away from comics and was writing film and was doing other things. Yeah, it was writing and was working in the film industry and was doing other things. So to have J.G. Jones back writing a sort of a Dust Bowl children horror.
Western?
It's the Grapes of Wrath meets Harrower by Justin Jordan.
Oh, far out. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, it's there are horrors in the West that, or maybe a little bit like Dune or Tremors, or there's an unknown horror that is equated to the Dust Bowl. So if you've read Grapes of Wrath or one of those, you kind of understand the setting. But the horror is of a level that maybe we all missed the first time.
Yeah. I think like a Western Tremors feels like a very, very succinct sort of like pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very fun one. Whenever J.G. Jones does anything, I'm paying attention and I'm checking it out. But yeah, definitely one to check out. Definitely one it kind of sneaks under the radar, but I feel like when it hits trade and you get more people reviewing it and stuff, like it's definitely gonna blow up.
Right. We're 5 issues into an 8-issue series. This might be one that if you're not on now, maybe just order the trade in a few weeks. But I wanted to put this one on there because it's one of my favorite books going. And again, J.G. Jones coming back to comics after a long time. So
right.
Up next, this is one that I want to get the Torma take on.
Yeah.
This is G.I. Joe Ara Roadblock one shot.
Right. Yeah. A real American hero. Yeah.
Right.
Roadblock is, I mean, if you're a fan of G.I. Joe, even if you're not a fan of G.I. Joe, Roadblock is one of the, badasses. He's one of the best characters from the G.I. Joe universe, in my opinion. I always loved like Rock and Roll, Night Stalker, Snake Eyes, of course. And Image has been killing it by like revitalizing G.I. Joe and Transformers as, part of the like Skybound sort of imprint. Yeah, what's nice about this is it's a reprint of a unforgettable like solo story, right? It's a reprint of an old G.I. Joe one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So not exactly a reprint, but it's a reimagining.
Got it. Okay.
Of this classic story. And that's what I wanted to ask you. So by the way, just when I say Ara, it's like Prindle.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I get it. My
I just
OCD
real American hero every time. I would
Yeah.
just see it every time.
I have to say it. I have to say a real American hero.
G.I. Joe. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
So this is what I want to get your take on. They've been doing these silent missions, which are homages to G.I. Joe 21.
Right.
How do you feel about having a bunch of new silent issues all these years later?
I mean, like anything, right? It sometimes loses its punch, But I always love the idea of, comics is such a visual medium that challenging the artist to convey story with just the art itself it's always an interesting exercise. And I mean, yeah, I love the original Snake Eyes, silent interlude. So anytime we can see that, with different characters, how it works, how it doesn't, I'm always a fan for. I don't know. I'll give anything a shot. I'm usually a pretty positive comic book reader. I think in my, almost 30 plus years of reading comics, maybe like one or two have really offended me before where I've been like, I have no idea what this is trying to do or what they're trying to say. But I mean, I love G.I. Joe. I love Transformers. Give me anything from the 80s, early 90s, and I'm there,
Lisa says the Spears G.I. Joe cover dropped today, instant sellout.
Yeah.
Neither of the FOC pages have that. I just looked. But yeah, I imagine that will be a hot book. I don't know. I felt kind of like this was maybe a little bit minimizing of the greatness of G.I. Joe 21, just because that was the only book to ever really do it. Well, other books have done it. That was the only book to do it ubiquitously, I guess.
Right.
But at the same time, these have been so damn good.
Exactly.
That I'm happy to be wrong. Like,
right. Yeah. Like
sometimes you're just happy to be wrong.
Right. Sometimes you see it and you go, okay, I get what they're doing. Okay, they're doing this, they're doing that. Yeah. It's probably going to be so-so. It's going to be phoned in. But I mean, they haven't so far. I don't know. I've been digging it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Up next, we have a Spawn #1, Medieval Spawn #1.
So good. Medieval Spawn's always fun.
Yeah, new miniseries, Medieval Spawn, by Rory McConville, with art by Marco Itri. This Francisco Mattina cover, like, let me blow this up for you.
God, like whenever Mattina does stuff, it's usually phenomenal. And yeah, Medieval Spawn is always badass.
Like that right there, that armor is just crazy cool.
Yeah. Well, I love how they've they've done it for years, but I love how Spawn is this character that's existed throughout the ages,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to this book, I think. I don't remember if I put this on the list or not, but I think Medieval Spawn is going to be one of those that over the 4-issue miniseries that Mathias and I are going to be talking a lot about.
Yeah. If they can keep like the brutality of it all, and heck, even make it like give it some Conan the Barbarian vibes, like I'm down for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the idea of having more spawns is always a good idea.
It's always fun, I mean, you got Gunslinger, you got Medieval, heck, put the Spawn suit on a monkey and I'll read 20 issues of that. So
well, and the new Book of Nyx, Black Ritual Book of Nyx,
yeah,
that Thomas Healy did is so good without Spawn in it, that existing in the Spawn universe.
Yeah.
Like, so the more they build out this universe, the happier I am.
Right. Yeah.
So
more
excited.
Spawn is always good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hornsby and Halo number 6. Pete Tomasi, Peter Stenberg. We're big fans of Ghost Machine here. Hornsby and Halo is fastly becoming one of my favorites from Ghost Machine. It's one of those that, again, you're midway through the first volume, or you're just after the first volume. So this is a good place to jump in. These are generally 5-issue volumes.
Yeah.
But if Danny's in the chat, Danny can correct me. But
yeah, shout out to Danny.
Yeah, shout out to Danny. Who I really want to get on this show eventually, just to come hang out and talk, because Danny was a retailer for a long time as well. So, but this is becoming one of my favorites from the Ghost Machine universe. So make sure you check this one out. I clicked too many things too fast.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Ghost Machine has been cranking out like hit after hit. I mean, I love the Geiger stuff. Red Coat was really, really killer. If you haven't been reading that, y'all, like, definitely check it out.
Red Coat 11, by the way, which I read before our interview with Jeff last week. Oh,
right?
God.
Yeah. No, Red Coat, I think, is one that people have been sleeping on. Like, don't sleep on comic books. Get out to your shop. If you haven't been Wednesday, get out yesterday. And if you haven't been yesterday, then get out today, Right.
Yeah, no, I like I said, Red Coat 11, guys, you are not ready. I sent Danny a message and I sent Jeff an email going, this is a lesson in storytelling. This is a masterclass. All right, so Universal Monsters. We got a lot of horror fans here. This is Faith Erin Hicks and Lee Lowridge. The Mummy.
I've been loving these. What is it? The Creature from the Black Lagoon was good. Frankenstein, was awesome. Yeah, no, everything in that series is solid. There's not a single boring issue. Sorry, I was going to say, talking to Nope, I still feel like a lot of the Ghost Machine stuff feels like DC pitches that Jeff had, and DC just didn't take them or something. Like, that's a whole other,
didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah. Because Red Coat feels like a Uncle Sam, opposite Uncle Sam kind of. Anyway, Universal Monsters, though. Whenever I get Universal Monsters, I'm super stoked. Excited for the theme park they're doing later this year. And I've been reading all of these, and I think the creature one was very interesting. It kind of makes me wish that they did these as movies, I'd love to see them on the big screen, but there's something about having it in comic book form that just feels right, I'm excited for the Mummy.
Well, and everything, I feel like Universal Monsters is one of those properties that kind of got mistreated over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Where everybody was just trying to cram a Universal monster into Scooby-Doo meets Frankenstein.
That's pretty cool.
That was great, but you know what I mean.
I know, yeah.
Why is the Green Lantern fighting the Creature from the Black Lagoon? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, Aquaman, yeah.
Or Swamp Thing teaming.
Yeah.
There are so many better options, but they tried to shoehorn these things in. And when Image got the I don't know if it's the license or permission to do these books.
Yeah, I don't license.
Sort of saved them for me.
Agreed. So, and the Mummy is one of my favorites. I hope they get to the Phantom of the Opera. I'd love to see that too. I think that's an underrated Universal monster. But yeah, they've been sick.
I won't be able to read that without humming though.
Yeah, right.
Came to me. Anyway, so up next after Image is Boom Studios. I will say this: there is not a ton on the Boom Studios offer, and remember that Boom Studios is no longer technically with Diamond; they are with Penguin Random House now. So
yeah, PRH.
Yeah, these offerings are mainly just informational, right? They're being sub-distributed through Diamond, but again, these are just informational offerings. in my opinion here. So we'll start with The Creeping Below. The whole thing on this is it's Brian Azzarello. That's my whole thing. I am totally freaked out by the covers on this book.
Yeah.
So if they could come in black poly bags, I would love it. But Brian Azzarello is one of my favorite writers. So
yeah, Azzarello is. I mean, Azzarello could do 20 issues of like a bowl of fruit, and I'd probably read every single one. You know, like The Creeping Below is. I don't know, even the word like creeping, which doesn't feel like a super scary word, but he's done something with it that really kind of gets under your skin, is the best way I can put it. It reminds me a lot of what is it? There was Creep Show. And there was Creep Show, the second one, the sequel to it, and there was that the one short called The Raft.
Yep.
Where there's like that blob thing that's just like eating people through the raft. Like, yeah, it's definitely one to check out.
Yeah, for sure. So again, that was that one. And then this cover is going to give me nightmares. This is the Jenny Frison Hello Darkness. But here is why I wanted to point this out, guys. Hello Darkness is an anthology series. But in this book, you have some of my favorite horror minds. So David Hazen, who just did at Mad Cave Kosher Nostra, and who did Nottingham at Mad Cave.
Love Nottingham.
Yeah, great. Bob Stein, R.L. Stein, who it's weird that I get to call him Bob now. Like,
right.
We've become friendly.
That's awesome.
Enough that I get to call him Bob. And Robert Hack. Listen. Robert Hack is one of those people that I think should probably be in a padded room somewhere. But because they're not, I want them writing comics.
Right.
And then this is the other thing. You guys know me. You know I'm a big Edgar Allan Poe fan. Hell, I've tried to get Torma to come up to the Poe Festival I throw every year anyway. But there is a new Poe
I had
story.
A baby.
I know.
Yeah.
But there is a new Poe story. Who's rapping at the apartment door? Why, it's David Hazen and Stefano Nisi in a modern twist on Poe's classic in Evermore. So again, that one for me, it's David Hazen, who I love, taking on Poe, who I love. And, well, just shut up and take my money.
Right. It's there.
And then In Bloom. This is number 4. Again, this is Mike Conrad. This, again, it's issue 4 of 5. In Bloom number 1 was the last issue I read.
Nice.
But I
Mike
like
Conrad, like, his horror is amazing. He just did Plague House for Oni Press. Yeah, he has a mind for horror. I don't know if that's like he has a twisted mind or not, but his stuff is always solid. His stuff is always really, really killer. In Bloom has been a really, really fun one as well. I think it's hard to kind of, there's so much horror out there right now that it's hard to find a unique sort of compelling story. But sometimes, you know, you just want, I don't know, it's like food, right? Sometimes chefs try to overthink their meals and try to make them too fancy, but sometimes you just need to make a really good cheeseburger. And I think In Bloom feels like a really good cheeseburger.
Right. And my recommendation on this one is you're on 4 of 5. So if you've not been jumping in, start kind of counting the weeks.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a trade. Again, it's going to feel like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket filled with spikes. Kind of horror.
So comfy. So comforting.
And then issue 9 of 10, Uncanny Valley. Y'all.
Tony. Yeah.
Tony Fleeks, Dave Wachter. This is if the Matrix met Space Jam.
Yeah. A good dose of Looney Tunes thrown into the Matrix.
Yeah, it really is like, again, it's the real world gets pulled into the cartoon world with legally not characters.
Legally not Yosemite Sam, not
right.
Pecos Pete. Yeah.
You know, some of these legally not the characters you think they are, which reminds me, I'm going to a convention in a few weeks. I need to find my Uncanny Valley blanks.
Yeah, I am going to
Cherry Capital Comic Con.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a few coming up actually, but my favorite thing is to do jam pieces on the Uncanny Valley blanks where I have people draw legally not their favorite childhood character.
That's amazing.
So like I have one with Illuminati Bear.
Like a Care Bear, but it's Illuminati Bear.
Yeah.
Who'd you get that by? Who drew that one?
Kaylin Smith. One with Cyclopsi, which is Popeye with one eye, which is Jay Fosgate. One with it's not Johnny Quest, but it's like a Johnny Quest type character. So again, like super fun book, super fun concept. Again, this is one that's 9 of 10 in. If you haven't been reading this, where have you been?
Right.
But also, again, start counting the weeks for the trade, because in a trade, this is going to read like a roller coaster. After we get through Boom Studios, which again, there's not a lot of Boom Studios, we move into the bulk here.
Bulk.
Marvel Comics. Lots of Marvel offerings this week, and some of them are very interesting, very, very fun. Sorry, new concept. So we're going to start with Doom Academy.
Yeah. Spinning out of like the Strange Academy stuff.
Yes. If you, again, Strange Academy was so good. But I really, this cover really speaks to me. Just because, again, this is one of those characters that if you're playing Marvel Rivals, you know.
Yeah. No, what is it? I love a Ron Lim cover. Give me a Ron Lim cover any day of the week, and I'm there.
Right, exactly. That's the other part, is this Ron Lim. So, just again, this is one that if you're reading, make sure you're getting down on. There is also a new number 2, Doom's Division, which, there you go, is sort of part of this One World Under Doom story,
right?
Where you're trying to understand who is on Team Doom and who is not.
I mean, anytime Doom is the bad guy and Doom is in the spotlight, like I'm there for it. I love the first issue. It had me hooked. And you get Dr. Doom being the, Sorcerer Supreme, writing a dinosaur version of himself, a T-Rex version, mind you, while battling like Earth's mightiest heroes. It's a no-brainer of an event.
But what I like about this one, especially Doom's Division, is that you're not sure who the bad and who the good is, right? Like, it is like pro wrestling in this way, where it's even the heel has face moments. So Dr. Doom, there are things worse than Dr. Doom. And in this book, it's Sunfire, which,
Sunfire. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Sunfire is not a character we get to see a ton from the mutant world.
Nope.
But when you have a magma monster mutant, you can certainly do some damage. So is Doom's team the good guys, or are they the bad guys, or is this just the enemy of my enemy is my enemy?
Right. I feel like we're getting a lot of that with the One World Under Doom. I'm excited to see Sunfire. Anytime we can see Sunfire, it's always good. And Karma. I feel like I haven't seen Karma in a minute.
Right. I mean, so like you have Wave, Karma, and Arrow in this book.
Yeah. And
like, right, I forgot Karma existed until I started playing Marvel Snap again. Like, oh my God, I forgot about Karma.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of interesting opportunity here for storytelling in this One World Under Doom with some of these characters. So moving on from there, Godzilla is fighting a lot of stuff right now. Shout out to Tora Studios. Or what's the
Toho Studios. Yeah.
For being loose with the Godzilla license, man.
Yeah, finally. And it's like IDW's been throwing them in everything. Toho's been allowing the US to use them in more stuff, which is great. We got the Godzilla Marvel like reprint in that omnibus earlier this year, which if you haven't checked out, it's amazing. I'm excited for Godzilla versus the Incredible Hulk, because that's like some of my like 8-year-old fanfic of 2 of my favorite characters battling it out. But the X-Men here, like, that's right up there. And what I love, and I know everybody else loves as well, is they're staying true to the design of the Godzilla suit and the era of the heroes that he's like battling, right? So this is the 90s X-Men clearly, right?
Right.
So you get a 90s Godzilla. It's not going to be the one from the 2000s. It's not going to be the one from the 60s or whatever, you get a nice Heisei Godzilla fighting, Marvel's mightiest mutants.
For sure. And so if you were in your shop this week, you know that Godzilla versus Fantastic Four came out this week. This is issue 4 in a series of 6 one-shots. The thing I want to remind everybody is don't take this too serious.
No.
Some of the dialogue in Godzilla versus Fantastic Four was straight out of like Saturday morning cartoons in terms of it was goofy.
As it should be, yeah.
Right, exactly. This is not a super serious story, right?
No.
This is just fun. Let comics be fun sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm as guilty of anybody as taking comics too seriously sometimes, but let comics be fun, and this is one of them.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you might want a filet mignon, but you could also get a cheesesteak. They're both good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So this is a trade. We don't normally talk about trades on the show, but Tim Sale is no longer with us, and Jeff Loeb is back in the spotlight writing the new Hush over at Marvel. This is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, those two working together. This is Spider-Man Blue 1 through 6 in one book. Those are hard books to find. And this is one of those Spider-Man's personal life is affecting his Spider-Man life.
Yeah.
And this is why Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane need to be kept at separate cities, homie.
Yeah. So they don't meet each other.
Right. This is Spider-Man in a Jerry Springer episode, and they did a great job with it. This has not been collected thus far to my memory. So check it out for sure. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, Spider-Man trade paperback, collecting Spider-Man Blue 1 through 6.
Yep. It's a love letter to the Silver Age. Oh, Juggernaut.
I'm the Juggernaut.
Yeah, right. So good.
This is a number 1, y'all. Kid Juggernaut.
It's always good. I love Juggernaut. I think everybody loves Juggernaut. I'm kind of hoping that we get into. Do you remember when they Marvel did M2 in the 90s, and you had like J2, like the son of Juggernaut, and he had the flannel shirt and everything, and it was like super 90s, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping this references. I don't know. I mean, give me anything Juggernaut, and I'll be buying it.
So this is the Kid Juggernaut from Avengers Academy, who we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And this is a collection, but these are the first time these stories have been printed solo.
Oh.
From Marvel's Voices Infinity Comics 1 through 6.
Wow.
So they're going to take those stories and put them into one and tell you the origin of Kid Juggernaut. And I like this one because Wu Chu Lee did their best. I'm going to go ahead and call it an Alex Ross.
Yeah.
On that cover. It is a beautiful cover, and Emily Kim wrote those stories back then. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Wrote those stories with a level of understanding of the Juggernaut that I didn't think anyone had. In terms of just sometimes you just want a Kool-Aid man through a wall, and Juggernaut's the only person who can.
I've honestly never thought of the Juggernaut as like his power as being the Kool-Aid man, but yeah, it absolutely is. That's what he does. He just goes through walls. Nothing can stop him.
Right. I think about that all the time. When you get to be my size, you think, you know what I don't want to do? Walk around. I just want a Kool-Aid man through this wall.
That's the crossover I need. I need the Kool-Aid man versus the X-Men. They think he's a mutant or something, and right?
I would listen. Kool-Aid.
Yeah, if you can hear us.
You remember how Pizza Hut used to do stuff with the X-Men?
Yeah. Give him a call.
All right, call me up. All right. Rolk, Red Hulk, number 3. Ben Percy, Jeff Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Again, One World Under Doom.
Machine Man and Deathlock. Whenever they're in a book, I'm there for it.
Right, and again, you have the Doombots.
Yeah.
Chasing what we think are the good guys in this book. So Doom's a bad guy in this book. if you're not reading all of the One World Under Doom stuff, it's going to get real confusing.
It's always super expansive, right? I mean, they take these events and yeah, there's always a million tie-ins and you don't need to read every single one. It's fun to read all of them and you should. I would, if I had the money, I would. But it's also a way to kind of give a spotlight to those lesser known characters. Like we don't see a lot of Aaron Stack, the Machine Man. We don't see a lot of Deathlock all the time. Trying to remember the last time Red Hulk and Machine Man were hanging out was during the Jeff Parker miniseries they did. Yeah, that was killer. So I don't know, some of my favorite characters in a book. Hopefully they punch a Doombot or 3 and yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. And again, Deathlock, man. Deathlock.
Yeah, Deathlock.
All right. Savage Land Rogue is popular for reasons.
Dinosaurs. Those are the reasons.
Yeah, dinosaurs. Yeah. But it's Tim Seeley who, writes a sexy girl about as well as anybody on the planet.
Right.
And telling this Shauna the She-Devil with Savage Land Rogue.
Shauna's always amazing. Yeah. Give me some Zabu, and Rogue in the Savage Land is fun. I mean, anytime you throw dinosaurs into the X-Men, it's great. Anytime they go to the Savage Land, I love a series that can take me back to when I was grabbing the issues off the new issue rack, off the spinner rack there. I don't know. It's a nice jaunt down memory lane.
For sure. And again, this is will Zaladain's ascension bring about the end of the Savage Land? How often does the Savage Land get threatened in the X-Men? Always?
God. Always. It's always threatened. If it's not...
And so, right. To have somebody there full-time protecting it, maybe a good idea.
Probably. Yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah. Bring back the Savage Land as much as you want, though, Marvel. I will keep buying it.
Yep. I'll visit there. I'll buy the t-shirt. This one. Anytime we get some Venom, anytime we get like Spider-Verse, Venomverse, I'm excited for any kind of like big event, any big crossover. And I'm also really stoked for the symbiote. I'm trying to say it right. Yaleo. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But this one should prove to be a popular issue. I mean, everybody's been loving Spider-Verse. Of course, Venom is Venom, and Venom's always awesome. To have every Spider person fight every Venom person in a epic series. Plus, I mean, first appearances. We all know how much like the Spider-Gwen first appearance goes for. That was in a Spider-Verse series. You got your first Miles Morales. Like, yeah.
Right. So here's my thing, right? I was going to say I am not in love with the fact that we're crossing over Spider-Verse and Venomverse, and when are we going to get Carnageverse and,
Goblinverse? Yeah.
Right. We need less verses.
Yeah.
More choruses, which is a music reference. But
right.
Kyle Higgins. Matt Groom. Like, okay, fine. You win. You sold me with that. And then again, it's right. You have Spider Prowler, which is this is the first appearance of Spider Prowler. You get Yaleo. You get this really big crossover. And again, the other problem I have with this book is I have to buy so much freaking art.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. Marvel knows it. The comic gods know it. Anansi, the Spider God, and Null, they know it. They're counting on it. The various gods of what you will. Add it to your box. Buy 2 copies so you can just take out the pages and glue them to your wall. Get a Spider-Verse, Venomverse. No, don't do that. Don't destroy a comic, please. My heart feels that one.
It's true. When they did Spider-Verse, they sent out a long vinyl poster.
Yep.
With all the Spider-Man on it. And I said for years I was going to be buried with that poster. So the one in my store finally got destroyed. And a couple of years ago, last year for Christmas, maybe, my friends bought me a clean one, a nice one that I'm saving. I'm going to need that for this, y'all. Yep. Just
please, yeah.
All right. Moving on from there, time variant, so TVA number 5 of 5. Again, this is the end of the series. Catherine Blair, Ryan North. This cover is dope, but the trade will be FOCing in probably about a month. This is one that if you enjoyed the Loki series and you're like, but I need other people to mess with time that aren't Loki. Well, guess what? This is that.
Yeah.
So grab this. Again, I would wait for the trade on this one just because, again, you're 5 issues in. But good looking out on this cover. Wolverine and Kitty Pryde.
Always a great pair. And especially with like Chris Claremont at the helm, like it's, how can you go wrong? That's enough said right there. I mean, whenever Claremont comes back to the X-Men, that's, you know, it's enough to get excited just with his name attached.
Well, so let me ask you a question. And this was something I saw come up on the internet the other day. And people are giving John Byrne a lot of credit for Chris Claremont's success in X-Men. Because Chris Claremont's X-Men that was without John Byrne is not as good as his X-Men with John Byrne. Now,
yeah,
I will say this. I defy you to find me any story with John Byrne that's as good without John Byrne.
Right. I mean, John Byrne is such a legend, but I think people who make that argument, yeah, of course, John Byrne is phenomenal, and like his Fantastic Four run is still one of my favorites, if not like it's right up there with the Hickman and Kirby stuff. If we're trying to like figure out best runs, but if you ask me, like Chris Claremont alone deserves like the credit for keeping the X-Men so consistent throughout those eras, where like whenever there was an X-Men project ever, he's like, oh, I'll write it. I'll do it. You know, like Avengers versus X-Men when they're battling against the Soviet super soldiers and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I love John Byrne. Don't get me wrong, but I think Chris Claremont, you know, he's done all right. He's done okay. He's done a good story or two.
That I wanted to argue against that argument. So
of course,
glad we did that. But guys, this takes place right after the Chris Claremont's Kitty Pryde and Wolverine series that he did. So this picks up immediately after that. This is before they rejoin the X-Men while they're still in Japan. So make sure you check that out, especially if you like that era. That was a very interesting era of X-Men storytelling.
Yeah. They were trying new things. They got a little darker, a little edgier. Wolverine is such a gruff character, and I think this is where we first started to see like the walls of that character come down in the original, right? Because I mean, the 80s, you have Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, and then when she goes to do her thing with Excalibur, you get Wolverine and Jubilee, and then a little bit of Wolverine and Armor. You know, like it seems like he always has a Robin sort of like by his side, so to speak.
Right. And at the same time, like that Kitty Pryde and Wolverine series was like the first time, and I always called it the de-Grinchification of Wolverine. Like his heart grows 3 sizes in that story because he understands what it is to care for another character rather than just be sort of selfish.
Yeah.
But the other thing that happens in that Japan era is one of my favorite X-villains, Mariko Yoshida, shows up.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think what Elektra could have been.
What? Elektra's badass. What are you talking about?
Elektra is badass, but imagine if Elektra was also like a better emotional manipulator.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I can see that. She
Yeah,
can be
like-
a little one-dimensional sometimes.
Yeah, like it's what Elektra could be if you wanted to expand that character beyond the amazingness that already is Elektra.
Right.
Like I don't want to in any way besmirch Elektra, but
Sounds like you're besmirching Elektra.
I'm not. But if we add a level of, you know, emotional depth, you know, maybe an early Elektra story or something, that's kind of what Mariko Yoshida is. So again, really enjoy that as a baddie.
Yeah.
So excited to see where this goes. All right, we're on to Dynamite.
Captain Planet.
We're on to Dynamite. So guys, remember there are all kinds of Star Wars and things that I didn't mention. Trade paperbacks, some Thunderbolts,
That Thor stuff is good.
Ultimate X-Men,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Right.
Yeah.
Guys, you don't need me to tell you about Ultimate Spider-Man. You're reading it already.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to, because because we have Torma here, because I want to just give you the quick information that you need. I'm skipping over some stuff that normally we would cover on the show, right? Like Ultimate Spider-Man. But just know it's there. And this is why you go to previewsworld.com/final orders due and check things out. This is why you go to lunardistribution.com and look at FOC. Because like Mighty Thor Volume 5 Omnibus Direct Market Edition, like these are things that, this is Jerry Conway Thor. Like this is a great era of Thor.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated era of Thor. It's really, really fun. I mean, of course, people, they remember the Kirby stuff, and then you got the Jason Aaron stuff and the Simonson stuff. But I think Jerry Conway, he kept Thor chugging along there for years.
Well, and some of these are really hard to get Thor issues.
Yeah.
So getting them in this format is super helpful.
Yeah, it's the return of the Mangog too. Love Mangog. Good stuff.
So, moving on though, like I said, head over there, check out all this other stuff that's there. It's important that you do your own. Oh God, I'm going to say a line on the internet I hate saying, but do your own research.
Do your own research. Always important.
Again, we're not covering everything. Say again.
Always important. Do your own research.
We're on to Dynamite. And Dynamite has what Dynamite always has, which is a lot of covers.
What? Dynamite has a lot of covers?
That's not a bad thing.
No.
But I wanted to mention a couple, and this is one that I didn't put on there, but I'm going to add to the list right now. So we're going to start with Captain Planet. This is the cover A Mark Spears variant, Mark Spears cover.
He's our hero.
Torma, you and I are of a similar age. How do we feel about the return of Captain Planet? Is it itching our nostalgia scratch?
I think so. Yeah. I'm looking for my my rings, and I found my class ring the other day, and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like water or wind or something. Yeah, Captain Planet is fun. Captain Planet, what is it? I have a collection of the action figures. I have like an original art cell from Captain Planet.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm stoked for Captain Planet. I'm of course skeptical, I like that he has a beard. So that's always a plus, but no, I think Captain Planet's going to be amazing. I think Dynamite has taken these characters, like their Space Ghost run. I've been loving that first issue. Felt like Batman in space. So I really want, my hopes are Captain Planet has a little bit of that edge. I don't need him like ripping people in half or, blowing up nuclear facilities, but yeah, give him a little edge, give him a little grit. I think that's what the beard is going to be for.
Well, and so this is David Pepos with art by Iman Castellanos.
Yeah.
I trust David Pepos, right? Like,
yeah.
Again, we saw what he did with Space Ghost. Very interesting concept there.
Yeah.
And again, we've got some killer covers here, but what I want is an expansion of the Planeteers. I want to know more about everybody else.
Oh. Do you want more Planeteers?
No, but I remember Captain Planet. I don't remember the names of all the other people. So what I would dream for this, right, for me,
yeah,
is what they've done, like largely in the Firefly universe or in Buffy, or where these characters that sort of existed for a second get expanded.
Yeah.
And more stories told. Expand the mythos, right? Modernize the mythos for sure, like you were talking about, but like expand the mythos of who are the Planeteers? What is the Captain Planet team look like? And because the cartoon ain't coming back. Like,
no. I mean,
probably
never say never. If this blows up like crazy, if we're making a wish list of what we want from this, I want the villains, like Duke Nukem. He was the pineapple dude who had radiation, wore Hawaiian shirt, favorite of mine. And Verminous Scum, the rat dude. Like, bring them back and make them creepier and make them like a little more twisted, like I said, I don't need decapitations, but a little edge, I think, to these cartoony characters would go a long way. And make Mati a little cooler, Mati. Yeah. That's all I need.
Like I said, I'm very interested to see kind of a can we expand the mythos? Can we build this universe out to the point where now we have a reason to bring it back, right?
Yeah.
Now TBS has the reason to license it. So, and Nope is right. David Pepose is killing it on Space Ghost. David Pepose is always killing it. Just shout out if you are looking for old school David Pepose and you can find it, pick up Spencer and Locke.
Oh yeah, Spencer and Locke is really good. How many other covers? I know they have quite a few, but how many more covers do they have for Captain Planet? I feel like I've seen a Jay Lee one that looks really sick.
So we've got Jay Lee and Jim Chung.
Badass.
Ward. I don't know who that is.
Chris
Ben Oliver. Maybe it is Chris Ward. Let me look.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Ward.
Christian Ward. Good stuff.
Yeah. We've got Ben Oliver. We got a foil of the Jay Lee, Jim Chung.
Good.
Got a couple of Authentics blanks. We've got a green and a white Authentics blank. We've got a bunch of the different versions of the Mark Spears, variants, different backgrounds, foils, virgins, all of those things.
All the best things in life.
Yeah, all of those things for Mark Spears. I want to move on. Ohana means family.
Ohana does mean family. My wife and I say this all the time to each other. Lilo and Stitch is like one of our favorites. And I'm sure there's a million people who love it, right?
Yes. Listen, I don't know what this story is. I've not read this. I don't know what this is. Nick has not sent me a preview. I'm sure if I ask, I get one. But Dynamite has done an outstanding job.
Yep.
With the Lilo and Stitch license. Their Lilo and Stitch ongoing series has been phenomenal. They are treating this series that is so precious to so many people so well. And this looks to be, it's written and drawn by Denise. I should have called Nikki and asked him. Shimabukuro.
Yeah.
Shimabukuro.
Yeah.
That it looks kind of have this watercolor kind of feel to it.
I love it.
Again, super interested in this book. I will be picking this up for my nephew, who is 4. And you know, being able to read comics with him in any kind of way, especially from a publisher that I like and work with all the time, is super fun, super interesting. This is Ohana Means Family, Musings on Everyday Life from Dynamite. So check that one out.
I've ordered 2. I'm gonna get 2 coming in.
Yeah. So moving on.
I love Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And throw Red Sonja into anything. You know, I'm always down for it.
I don't know why. I don't know why I have to sell this book at any. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It sells itself basically.
This is the Linsner cover, but Jay Stevens, Fran Strucken, art. Again, I still haven't read number 1. I have it sitting here.
Read it. Jay does amazing. I mean, what is it? Jay Stevens, you know, he did Dwellings for Oni Press. He's done a bunch of covers on the EC stuff for us. Really, really great. Really great guy. Has a awesome Batmite pitch that, you know, one day hope to see the light of day. I got a chance to meet him at San Diego Comic-Con last year because he was signing at our booth, and super awesome. One of my favorite people in comics right now. But yeah, check it out.
I want to take an aside.
Oh yeah.
Can you give people the pitch on Dwellings? Because every time I try and sell Dwellings to people, I wind up talking for 45 minutes and they go, I still don't know what you're talking about. So give people the pitch on Dwellings because I love that freaking book.
Yeah. So Dwellings is Casper the Friendly Ghost or Richie Rich, but super twisted, messed up horror. So you have the cutesy sort of art style of like Harvey Comics or Hot Stuff, but you get decapitations, you get eyes gouged out, you have murders, you have demons summoned, you have organs being replaced. Dwellings is one that you do not want to miss. We have number 2 is coming out later this year. We'll be doing that. We had a Halloween one-shot. And then, there should be a hardcover that's out as well.
Yeah, that first book, The Story with the Crows, man.
Yeah. And the scissors. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, and that's, I would say, is one of the more tame stories in there, you know?
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's one of those, I want to recommend this to people.
Yeah.
But like, can I without them then wondering if I'm a sane person? Like
as long as I always say, like, obviously you want to feel everybody out, right?
Mhm.
You want to see you want to see what their vibe is, but I think you're pretty safe unless it's Crossed. Crossed is the only book that I've ever like tried to recommend to somebody where it could go left or right, even if they have they're like a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt or something like that. But no, Dwellings, small town of Elwich, where all this crazy stuff is happening. Like I was saying, murder, decapitation, possession. It's, if you're not reading it or you don't have it on your shelf, you're doing yourself a disservice. I know I'm a little biased, right? But hey, get it even from it first was released in 6 issues from Black Eye Books. And if they have it on their site, like order it from there, like read these stories, obsess over them, have them be ingrained in your brain. Like you won't regret it.
No, for sure. And again, Dwellings is one of those, if you liked Beneath the Trees,
yep,
you'll like Dwellings.
Absolutely.
Okay. Back to Red Sonja Mars Attacks, though.
Back to Red Sonja Mars Attacks.
Right.
Yeah.
The kind of mind that would bring you Dwellings writing the Mars Attacks aliens is the kind of mind I want writing the Mars Attacks aliens. And at the same time, you can do no wrong with Red Sonja. So
just throw her in anything.
All right. And then last,
everybody at this point.
Last from Dynamite this week, Thundercats Lost #2. This is Declan Shalvey cover, but this is written by Ed Bryson, who just wrote one of my favorite series of last year, Displaced.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Rafa Labasco on the art. Again, this is one that I have not yet read. #1. It's sitting here. I just have to pick it up. But again, this is another one of those licenses that Dynamite has done really well by.
Yep.
They have done a really great job of protecting Thundercats and building the Thundercats mythos out. As much as I want a Snarf miniseries for kids.
No, I don't. No, keep Snarf out of there. Not a Snarf fan. More of an Orko man myself.
Sure, but again, I want one from Dynamite and Paper Cuts, or Dynamite and their the kids wing, like just a Snarf adventure.
It'd be fun. Yeah,
just
I could see that.
Again, so I can introduce my nephew to Snarf, right? And then he can hate him as much as the rest of us do.
Snarf.
It's like I need a Jar Jar Binks miniseries from the Star Wars people, just so he can understand why I dislike Jar Jar.
Kyle, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
I know.
Jar Jar Binks miniseries.
I need more medicine for my mental illness. Anyway, but no, this is again issue 2 of this, and this is the Declan Shalvey cover. I haven't read it, so the idea of letting Dynamite play with the Thundercats just continues to be a good idea. Yep. So we're gonna keep going from there. The Crow, #3 of 3, Crow Flesh and Blood. This is from Sumerian Comics. So we're moving on from Dynamite down into the comics and graphic novels portion of Previews World. So this is where you're going to find all of your manga, all of your Dark Horse, a lot of your IDW. Anybody else that's here, Ahoy. Anybody else? This is where Oni Press is, right?
Yeah, Oni Press should be down here. Yep, there we go.
Oni Press is here. So again, it's everybody who isn't those names that we've gone through is down here. So like Blue Lock from Kodansha. There's a lot of great things here that if you're into, you should check out by going to previewsworld.com/final orders due. Like again, one that I'm not going to talk about on the show, but that I really love is Fault Lines from Ablaze. Okay. This is a wild kind of, if you're a musician or musicians, it's going to trigger the hell out of you. But it's a good series. And then like the Hazards of Love softcover book 2. If you haven't read the Hazards of Love,
Hazards of Love is really good from Oni Press there.
Mm-hmm. Like again, that's one of those. Maybe get your emotional fuel tank filled up before you start reading Hazards of Love.
Yeah, get some tissues. You'll need it. There's another one. Let's see. Toxic Summer that's coming out from us. That trade is amazing. It's like Creature from the Black Lagoon meets Scooby-Doo meets Riverdale, as like two dudes hit a beach town for the summer and trying to, like they want to have the ideal beach party. And of course, when they get there, the beach is closed due to toxic radioactive waste. People are acting kind of strange, and it's them trying to figure out this like greater mystery. Derek Charm does an amazing job pulling double duty with art and writing. If you guys missed issues 1 through 3, the oversized issues that came out last, that would have been around the summertime of last year, then yeah, do not miss out on this trade.
I love Derek Charm on Jughead.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this book.
Stuff.
I didn't get the single issues because I knew I would get the trade.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things is that sometimes, and this is, and I know we're talking about only press books, so I don't want to in any way kind of lead to this, but sometimes when you read as much as we do, right, you've got to decide how many short boxes do you want to move when you move houses.
Oh God, don't even talk to me about moving boxes. I have, gosh, seven bookshelves of graphic novels, and then like 40 short boxes, long boxes. I have friends who won't help me move anymore because I've moved so much, and they're like, Torma, we just can't do it. Like some of these boxes are like 40 pounds, 50 pounds. It's ridiculous.
We all need workers' comp after helping you move. And that, to be honest, that's part of the reason I have this complex where I'm at now. Yeah. Is that I never have to move my comics again as long as I pay my rent.
See, there you go. Perfect.
I'm done. No matter where I move, the comics can live here as long as I pay the rent.
They can stay right there.
Yep. But no, I'm very excited for this trade. It definitely is on my order list. But to get moving into this section, we have Crow Flesh and Blood #3, written by Jim O'Barr with James Vance and art by Alex Maleev from Sumerian. Jim O'Barr has become a friend over the years. He's a great guy.
Far out, yeah.
And the way the Crow has been treated over the years has not always suited him.
Well, yeah. Hollywood takes properties and grinds them up, regurgitates them into a form that I don't know, kind of destroys the art, the artistic interpretation of it, It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, to have him come back and be writing The Crow again, and Alex Maleev, who was so inspired by him.
Yeah.
Was
everything that Alex does.
Right. Doing the art. This has felt like it's been a healing process for Jim.
Oh God.
Well, no, in the sense that he's finally getting to tell some stories that I think he's wanted to tell for a long time.
Yeah.
So again, this is it's issue 3 of 3. I'm guessing you're going to have a hard time finding this at your LCS. So now would be a good time because I'm guessing the trade is on initial orders at this point. So maybe reach out to your LCS and go, hey man, I want to order this. But even if it's not, it gives them plenty of time to wait. It gives them plenty of notice. So when it is on orders, they can get on it.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, Van Jensen, Kelsey Ramsey, Godzilla Heist, #3.
Yeah. Anytime they do Godzilla, it's fun. Godzilla is a character that you can have the wacky stuff, Godzilla versus X-Men, or you can have the, slightly more serious Godzilla heist story. And I think that's what's great about Godzilla fans is that they rarely are upset if there's different interpretations. Like, hey, we just want giant monsters, And this, I'm excited for Mechagodzilla. Whenever they use Mechagodzilla in anything, I'm always down for it. One of my favorite, bad guys. Yeah, I guess you would count in a history of bad guys, but it's a robot Godzilla,
Right. And that's why this makes the list this week. This is why we're talking about it, is Mechagodzilla, man.
Yeah, dude.
Mechagodzilla is something that a lot of Godzilla fans really like. And so very excited for that to join Godzilla Heist, which has been very good.
Yeah.
Howl, #4 of 5 from Ahoy Comics.
Ahoy puts out a lot of fun stuff.
They do. And Howl has been one of those books that, again, you're 4 of 5 into it. Watch for the trade, y'all. I'm just putting this on your radar now. If you're reading it, great. But this is a science fiction writer in the 1950s gets possessed by an alien.
As one does.
And it changes their entire relationship with their partner, their husband. It leads to this really weird sort of space sex sci-fi adventure series that, again, is like, this is a spicy book with no spice. Like,
okay.
you don't, it isn't like some of like the hard case crime stuff by Titan where you're seeing everything.
Right. It's not a Money Shot or something.
Right. It isn't Money Shot. Right. It's a great example. It's Money Shot without the overt sex.
Without the shot. Just the money.
Yeah, kind of. But they're telling a really interesting story in space that is all sci-fi, and you kind of lose track of what is reality and what is not in this series.
Yeah.
Are they actually in space, or are they on Earth, and is this just a hallucination brought on by the possession? Or is the alien actually fixing their marriage?
I love a story like that. One that kind of like anything that kind of messes with you,
Right.
is always a fan. Like, what was the going back to like New 52 Court of Owls, the one scene where like Batman's in the maze and you're turning the pages over, and then you just because you turn a book that way, you get kind of lost in it for a second. I don't know. Stuff that messes with you is always fun. And this has a psychedelic incentive cover.
Yes, it does. This has some really let me scroll up here. I didn't pull it up because it's not here, but it does have an incentive cover that you will I'm guessing, just my guess, blacklight cover.
Ooh, yeah. Love a good blacklight cover.
Absolutely. So check this one out. Again, you're probably going to want to get the trade on this one, but my gosh, is that book a brain tease. You know what it reminds me of on some level is Odyssey by Matt Fraction, where it's like you're 10 issues in, you're not sure what's happening.
Right. Yeah. You're along for the ride. You're
Right.
on the train, but you don't know where it's going.
All right. Lady Baltimore is back. Lady Baltimore, Daughters of Medusa, Mike Mignola, Christopher Golden, Bridget Connell. Lady Baltimore has, I think, probably been the strongest non-Hellboy book from the world of Hellboy from Mignola in a little while. And so, again, playing with the Medusa mythos, in Victorian Europe is super interesting to me.
It fits very well.
I'll be interested to see Bridget Connell's art on this, because I'm not sure how Bridget Connell's art will lend itself to Mignola.
Oh, I'm sure it'll go hand in hand. I don't know.
I'm sure it will, because Mike wouldn't pick somebody that wasn't
complimentary,
a good
in every
fit.
single
But
way. Yeah.
We'll have to see. So, but I'm excited to check this book out. This is one that I've always enjoyed. And then last up, TMNT. Can't do a show with Kyle and not talk about Turtles.
Of course.
Nope is here, so he knows. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution hardcover. Guys, the TMNT Last Ronin stuff continues to be some of the best-selling graphic novels on the market right now. And so to have the hardcover of Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution on the market just continues to build out that franchise and that story. So check that out as well. That's Kevin Eastman, Tom Waltz, the Escorza brothers, and Ben Bishop, all of whom are doing great work on TMNT. Shout out to Tom, who I will be hanging out with in a few weeks.
Right on.
I'm going to ask him so many Turtles questions that he's probably going to want to punch me.
Of course. Yeah. That sounds like it's going to be a great time. Where are you? Is he at a con?
Cherry Capital.
Nice.
City, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to get you up here one year, man. You will you'll love the show. But anyway, so we are going to that is going to be the end of the previews section of the show. I do want to mention I didn't bring it up, but I did want to mention Los Monsteros, James Robinson, Jesus Moreno, This is the 1950s. Universal Monsters enter the 1950s, basically, in LA. So it's got this very sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
Like if the Universal Monsters lived and created a society, kind of like it. When reading the description, it reminded me a lot of the Hidden Market in Hellboy, where you have like this whole secret sort of world of fantasy and horror that exists right beneath our feet.
Right, or it kind of reminds me of Where Monsters Dwell.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, in Where Monsters Dwell, it's a community-based or populated solely by serial killers. This is a community populated solely by Universal Monsters. So very interesting story there from James Robinson. I think the idea of just like, oh, hey, the Wolfman works at my bank is a fun concept, because anybody who's ever gone to a bank in a city, especially a city that's not your own, has experienced that.
Of course. Yeah, there's Wolfmen everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a book for Eddie Edward on the channel here. Ed Weird. Definitely. So we'll check that out. So we are going to take like a 30-second break, just so I can switch some stuff over and remind you guys about what's coming up later today here on The Experience. Tonight here on the EXP, we've got Nick's original art show, the Original Art Experience at 7, where Nick will be showing. He sent me some pages, and I just didn't have time to look at them, that are going to be on offer tonight. But it will likely be really cool. It's always really cool stuff that he has on offer, and he will have a guest on talking about the Heritage Art Auction.
Ooh,
which is, Heritage Art Auction is always insane. And then Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann from Comics Unlimited, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Hell yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, Nancy's been around forever. She, again, guys, I say this all the time. She was Jim Lee's LCS for a long time when she had her shop in LA. And now she's in Cleveland, Tennessee, running a small shop in her hometown. And they have great stuff. I mean, my God, the golden age stuff she pulls out of her back room just every week floors me. So we're going to, just shout out to Nancy. That show is at 9:00 Eastern. Nick's at 7:00 Eastern tonight here on the EXP. Then I will be here. I will be here Sunday doing a live sale on Sunday. I will show you the thumbnail. I have to do a thing here. Boom. Producer Kyle does a live sale Sunday, 4 to 6 Eastern.
Where'd you get that image? It's awesome. I love that.
Archive.org, homie. Archive.org.
What are you selling?
I'm going to do $5 and $10 trades.
Oh yeah.
I need to remove that ticker because that's last night's show.
Yeah.
$5 and $10 trades. $5 and $10 trades. I bought an entire booth at a con about a month ago. And in it, I got a bunch of really dope trades that I got for low enough that I can sell them to you, the consumer, for $5 to $10. I will also have some keys and some other interesting stuff that I will be offering as well. So tune in for that with me on Sunday at 4. Okay.
At 4. Is that 4 Eastern?
4 Eastern.
4 Eastern. Hell yeah. Sweet. I always need some trades, I already have 8 shelves. I could always make 9.
Right? IKEA needs Torma's business. So
they do. It's the only thing keeping them up.
So before we move over to Lunar, let's move over to Lunar, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what's going on at Oni, and we'll go into our top 10. Sound like a plan?
Sounds great.
All right. So we're on lunardistribution.com, and you scroll down about, I don't know, just a little bit down the page, maybe like a quarter of the page, and you get to this upcoming FOC section. Now, here's what's cool about Lunar compared to Previews World. And I said this earlier on the setup show, but Previews World, you don't get next week's FOC information until Tuesday. Once FOC closes Monday, they unlock Tuesday. With Lunar, you can look further out. So you can plan a little further ahead. But just know that there's less stuff here. So just going to kind of fly through some Lunar stuff. Absolute Batman #1. You've got 6th printings going to 3 covers on Absolute Batman #1.
Makes
You've
sense.
got a 2nd printing on a 4th cover, a 3rd printing, or #3, or a second. #2 is on a 4th printing. #3 is on the 3rd printing. So that book continues to just blow the doors off of everything. You have sorry, I have to press a button here. Absolute Martian Manhunter. That book was, this is wrong.
What's wrong?
Yes, so Absolute Martian Manhunter #2 of 6. Should say 2 of 12, announced yesterday.
Yep.
That book is going to be a minimum 12 issues. Dennis Camp, Javier Rodriguez. Issue #1, I need more drugs.
Yeah, so good.
The whole, like, John Jones can read minds, but he has to inhale like a cloud of thoughts to do it, is this interesting concept that I was not prepared for.
I love it because it kind of, it feels like what the Absolute universe is trying to do, like do fresh takes on these characters that, make them a little, I don't know, not more interesting, but bring a new quirk to their concept, so to speak.
Right, absolutely. So this book is now going to 12 issues. So congratulations to those guys on that success. And by the way, all of these covers are just crazy cool art. So unique. And I just it reminds me of when Steranko was doing the whole super psychedelic covers for Marvel back in the day. This is kind of what these remind me of.
Very, very Steranko, Ditko-esque kind of covers.
Right. Again, we see absolute stories going into multiple printings. Absolute Superman on the 4th. Absolute Superman #1 on the 4th printing. Absolute Wonder Woman on the 5th. And we're already ordering Absolute Wonder Woman #7.
God, yeah, that book's been amazing too.
So this is the Declan Shelby cover, which is actually the one I ordered. Again, a lot of people, Absolute Batman is selling like gangbusters, but for me, Absolute Wonder Woman is where it's at.
Yep. Yeah.
I think it's the best series. Absolute Martian Manhunter has the makings.
Right. Needs a little more traction. Yeah.
I need a little more time with it, but Absolute Wonder Woman is just where it's at right now. So this has been super fun. Dustin Nguyen and Martina De Luis doing incredible interiors, written by Kelly Thompson, who's always a sure thing. So again, you've got Absolute Wonder Woman #7. Lunar is adding a lot more small publishers as things change in the industry. So we're going to get more information here, but they've added the Assassin's Creed. Again, this is a prestige format, artist edition, one shot, again,
graphic novella is what I always call them, It's
right.
Almost a graphic novel. It's quite, it goes on your shelf. You can fit it on your shelf. And Assassin's Creed is, the franchise has been going for forever. I remember when I was still working in a shop, still working at Third Eye, Assassin's Creed was a series we would sell all the time,
Mm-hmm.
Who was that? Was that the Wildstorm stuff?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wildstorm back then. But no, this is massive. So this is one of the smaller publishers that has recently moved over to Lunar. So again, as things shift, again, things are changing every day at this point. We're going to have more information on Lunar, maybe some less on previews, but we're going to do our damnedest on this show to get you all the information as clearly as possible. All right. Batman 159. Again, the return of Hush, Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams. Have you read 158 yet, Torma?
I have not yet. No, it's on my stack to read. And, it's a little harder to read as many comics as I used to with a baby. I will say
absolutely. Here's what I will say about 158, and then we'll talk about 159 just a little bit. 158 felt like Jeff Loeb was getting his legs back.
Nice. Good.
On Hush. So I'm interested to see if 159 kind of is like, okay, I'm running now.
Right. And now I'm sprinting, and now I'm giving. I mean, from a cover like this, I mean, it's Batman Hush too. Hush is arguably the biggest Batman story in the last 20, heck, I'd even argue 30 years. And with Jim Lee on art, Scott Williams, underrated as an inker, I would say. It's get this. If you haven't read it, you need to pick it up. It's going to be a huge book if it's not already your favorite book on your box.
Right. But if 158 felt a little meh to you, give 159 a try. Again, to me, it felt like Jeff Loeb was like, okay, I'm back in the universe. I need to get running again.
Right. Yeah.
And again, this is coming with a ton of covers.
Yep. DC knows that, people want those covers. It's a landmark series. People are going to want every cover.
You got Mad Cave has a couple of great trades out, or a couple of great books out. Blade Forger #1 I really liked.
Yeah.
We will talk about that on Minute to Skim It coming up when that book comes out. And the Body Trade was wild. But we keep moving. We talked about a lot of the Image stuff. Bug Wars, Dust to Dust. Flash #20. This is part 1 of a new Flash crossover. Bad Moon Rising. The moon has become a battleground in the war to end all wars. Really? Wally West and Wally West and Wally West are going to be fighting on the moon.
Perfect.
Listen, there's one word in this whole solicitation that has me interested in this.
Right.
And it's Darkseid.
Yeah.
Darkseid is dead.
He was killed. Darkseid is.
It's true, but it's one of those things is that I'm interested to see why they mention Darkseid so many times.
Yeah.
If he's not coming back. You know what again? So
Simon Spurrier's Flash run has supercharged the Flash with this nice, I don't want to say horror, but it's been a creepier Flash book, which I appreciate, taking a character who's a little more, I don't want to say squeaky clean, but a little more bright in terms of DC characters and giving a little grit to them. Plus Eclipso, if you're unfamiliar with Eclipso, the, original Spirit of Vengeance, awesome JSA, JLA bad guy. One of my favorite villains, I'd say, arguably. I still have the issues where they had the fake, gem in the 90s on the Eclipso crossover. Anyway, I'm rambling about Eclipso. Great villain. If he doesn't possess you and then make you do, insane, crazy things. It's great. It should be a fun issue.
All right. Green Arrow, #23. Again, super fun. And Green Lantern, #22. I've been really digging the Green Lantern. Jeremy Adams has been doing a good job. But I don't want to get into that 22 issues in at this point. So we're going to keep moving.
Green Lantern Dark. I love that tangent Green Lantern.
We've got Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn 50 feels like a good place to jump in. It's Elliot Kalin with Mirka Andolfo with cover. This covers Elizabeth Torque. Get ready to meet the Gun Buddies. Bang, bang. Introducing the soon-to-be DC comic sensation, the Gun Buddies. So again, this is a great place to jump in. They're introducing a new kind of framework for Harley Quinn in this series. Again, it's Birds of Prey maybe is a little played out.
Okay.
So now we've got Gun Buddies. So again, I'm interested to see how this goes. They love each other almost as much as they love guns.
Yeah. If I don't get gunfire on that team, I will revolt. I will protest. Because if they're called the Gun Buddies, I need Wild Dog. I need gunfire. You know, give me heck, even give me like a Deathstroke or something. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But like I like the idea of putting Harley Quinn in a new group.
Yeah, mix it up a little bit. Hopefully they don't all die or something.
And like I ordered the David Nakayama April Fool's cardstock variant because David Nakayama and the Joker.
Yeah, his Joker is great. Has a classic sensibility to it.
I will also say that this B is going to speak to a certain segment of the Harley Quinn population. So make sure you don't order on that, local comic shops.
Yeah, I know. Nakayama. Nakayama's crushing it with the artwork.
He really is.
His DNA.
Mm-hmm. Again, we talked about the Hazards of Love. You
Yep.
want to give the pitch on the Hazards of Love?
Yeah, it's Hazards of Love is a God, what does it feel like? To me, I pitch it as like Hellboy meets Coco. It's this exploration of like an underverse as one man sells his soul and what that kind of like entails. Book 2 is amazing. It'll bring you to tears. If you want a comic book that is fun, beautifully drawn, with enough sort of soul to rip your soul out, Hazards of Love is a series that I think a lot of people sleep on.
Yeah, this is one that Hunter put me onto, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
When they first started working on it, he's like, bro, you're gonna love it. And he wasn't wrong.
No, yeah.
We talked about Hornsby and Halo.
Yep.
We talked about how Invincible trade paperback new edition, guys. If you're having trouble getting Invincible, this is an advanced solicit. Check it out as a chance to get stuff in. I will say, talking to Miss Jen, like she's almost out of Invincible. She can't keep it in stock right now.
Damn.
And Lunar, because of Hush and because of some of this other stuff that's been happening, is a little behind on their restock. So make sure you're telling your shop when you want Invincible, so they can order enough copies. Justice League Unlimited. Again, we've got really cool covers for that. Again, the Dan Mora Justice League Unlimited cover, which I missed on the first issue because I'm a moron. But then, like the Nathan Zerdy cover, is super hot.
Martian, Star Sapphire, yeah.
And I actually really like this 1 in 25 Dan Jurgens.
Yeah, the like sort of through the ages kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, like, in having a conversation with my LCS, I think I'm getting 6 copies of this book so that they could qualify for the 1 in 25 and sell it to me.
That's amazing. That's
so yeah, just shout out to that.
Marshall Rogers, good stuff. Is that all? What is that going into?
Brightest Days and Darkest Nights. Marshall Rogers, Brightest Days and Darkest Nights. Jeff Messer, Dewey Castle with art by Marshall Rogers. This is. I'm just going to read the solicitation because you grabbed one that I missed, and now I'm angry at myself.
I'm sorry. No, I
saw. You're good.
Yeah, I saw Marshall Rogers, and I was like, oh, that's all. Like, I think criminally underrated Batman, creator. Had a lot of really great like Detective Comics stories with. He did a really good one with Dr. Phosphorus, the Hugo Strange stuff, Silver St. Cloud. Like, it's. I don't know. Everybody always says, your Jim Lees, your Jeff Loebs, your Frank Millers, your Brian Azzarellos, your, Neil Adams, whoever on Batman. But I think Marshall Rogers is one that, like, definitely, if you're interested in, like, DC lore at all, or DC history, if you want something a little deeper, a little, like, hidden gem, check out the Marshall Rogers. I'm going to pick up this book. I just
for sure.
I heard about it.
So the solicitation, I'm just going to read it to everybody because I want to, and people need to know Marshall Rogers. From underdog to icon, Marshall Rogers helped redefine Batman for generations, inspiring readers and up-and-coming artists alike. Initially savaged by editors at DC Comics, his style was uniquely complex with vast and angular architectural design anchoring his storytelling. And it immediately caught on with fans for his depictions of the Dark Knight Detective, Hugo Strange, the Joker, Silver St. Cloud, Doctor Strange, Captain Quick, and Afuzel, which I forgot about Captain Quick and Afuzel, and more. And though his output was relatively small in comparison to many of his contemporaries, his impact outlived the artist himself and inspired a loyal following and affection. Now Rogers' story is being told by friends, collaborators, and family members, delving deep into a complicated and conflicted man and his art. We feature inker Terry Austin, friend and fellow artist Mike Netzer, Dan Greenfield's extensive interview with writer Steve Englehart, conducted for 13thdimension.com, and others recounting their time and camaraderie with Rogers, alongside an in-depth interview with Marshall himself, and a wealth of art, both familiar and rarely seen. Written by Jeff Messer and Dewey Castle, authors of the Eisner-nominated Mike Grell, Life is Drawing Without an Eraser. This book shines a light on the fan-favorite artist's brightest moments and darkest days, featuring a new cover collaboration by Marshall Rogers and Terry Austin.
See, that's so sick.
Again, there are a number of artists, guys, that like I don't think get enough credit in these days, and Marshall Rogers is one of them. It's like when I tell people what a fan of Vaughn Bodie I am, people look at me funny. But there is art that exists now that you love that would not exist if not for Vaughn Bodie.
Right.
When I tell people what a fan I am of Harvey Picar, people look at me like, "You mean the guy from that movie?" But there are stories being told in the world right now that you would not get and would not know about if not for Harvey Picar. Marshall Rogers is the reason comic books from so many great artists look the way they look.
Yep.
So having this book come out is certainly a big tribute to him. And again, he's somebody who wasn't around long enough and didn't do nearly enough for my liking. But unfortunately, we lose so many people too soon. And he was one of them. Okay, keeping moving because I will get sad if I talk about him. Metamorpho the Element Man. Y'all, if you're a Doom Patrol fan, you're going to want to be reading that. That one's been super fun. Night of the Slashers has been super cool. It's Kevin Scott and Paul Fry. Again, Kevin Scott, who you know from Union Jack, Star Wars, High Republic, and Paul Fry, who drew Green Arrow and Black Canary. This is a horror fest. This is a great slasher book. We're going to talk about Out of Alcatraz in a minute because y'all know I'm loving Out of Alcatraz. In fact, I went back and rewatched the Mythbusters episode just so I was up to date on Out of Alcatraz.
So good.
Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly double feature.
Love
you guys
Peacemaker.
know I'm not. You guys know I'm not on Peacemaker.
You're not on Peacemaker?
I'm not on Peacemaker, but this book issue 1 I read and loved. So maybe I need to go back and reevaluate Peacemaker.
I think you do. I mean, I love this. What is it? That cover C from Juan Gedeon, my boy Juan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like again, that's a dope cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's nothing about this to not like. I don't know why I don't like Peacemaker. I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
Here's one we don't talk about on this show that I want to talk about, but Matthias is like, really not. Anyway, Pin Apocalypse. This is I forget even who's publishing this at this point. But it's Andrew Tarsarov and Brennan Jones.
Nice.
And Andrew Tarsarov art. It's a mid-50s sci-fi horror, but essentially it's Buffy.
Oh, nice.
Pinup girls are fighting the horror, but it's got this like Edgar Wright, Sam Raimi, Ed Wood kind of feel. I did jump up and order 15 copies of this book for my LCS so I could get this cover.
That's a sick cover.
Matthew Skiff cover.
Yeah.
And this is one of those books that, again, I can put this in a box at a con and I will sell it no problem.
Easy.
Right. So again, these are great books. A super fun series is very different from Massive Publishing. And then, I didn't see this one. I may have to order more copies. Damn it.
Oh darn! Got to get more comics.
Yeah, I got to buy more comics. Planet Death #0 from Bad Idea. Don't write off Bad Idea because it's called Bad Idea. They have changed their ideas, and they seem less bad now. But that book is super fun. I've been reading that. I've been following Planet Death in every iteration it's had. I've got I don't know how many different versions of the ash can and several different edits of the ash can. This book from Derek Kolstad and Robert Vendetti is just getting better and better every edit. And now it's ready to come out. So I'm excited for that. The Power Fantasy. Again, we've talked about Power Fantasy, Power Girl. Moving on. Rick and Morty, Ricklemania.
Yeah, Rick and Morty Ricklemania. Finally, we get to, Oni Press, right?
Well, again,
Finally.
Ricklemania, man, like you're 3 of 4 issues in.
Yep. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, Rick and Morty, they've done everything, right? From A to Z. And Ricklemania is, if you're a lover of wrestling, you'll appreciate Rick and Morty, Ricklemania. If you like Rick and Morty and just want like a series that feels like it was pulled straight out of the TV show, it's got all your insider terms, the heels, the faces, marks. It follows Rick and Morty as they get sucked up into the IWF and become some of the biggest stars. In this issue, I'm super stoked for it because Rick kind of starts a pickle themed NWO, which is pretty cool, or like a Bullet Club, right? But yeah, definitely check it out. If you haven't checked it out, this is issue 3 of 4. The trade will be coming out later this year. But yeah, go to your local comic book shop, your LCS. They should have 1 and 2 still in stock. And if not, tell them to call me.
Right. Call Torma. Get me this book.
Call Torma. Yeah.
And then there's not a whole lot left here we haven't already talked about. Spectrum, Rick Quinn and Dave Chisholm. Guys, this book made me cry. Issue 4 made me cry. I am loving this book. If you are an artistic person, you need to be reading Spectrum, even if you're not a musician, even though that's the framework of this book. Spectrum has been just so fantastic. Also, String is a unique murder mystery from Paul Tobin that has been super fun. The main character can see strings between people. If they're blue strings, they've hooked up. If they're black strings, they're dead, or they're going to kill. So one person is going to kill the other person, and so they partner with the police to solve crimes, and they partner with lovers to figure out who they're cheating on.
Love it.
Super fun story. We've got Superman 25. The Dan Mora wraparound is super cool. But just moving on from there, we talked about Toxic Summer.
Pick it up. Order it.
Yeah. Last thing. This is Black Mask. This is White. Y'all. This is a new printing of White, which is a extremely hard book to get. If you don't know about this book, Black Comics Universe and University have done a great write-up on this book, as well as have so many people in that area of the world, or that area of the comic community. But the premise of this book is, what if only black people had superpowers? This is the sequel to the critically acclaimed series Black. It's been 3 years since the world learned that only black people have superhuman powers, and the United States has responded by electing a president, and then that person. This may have some. What's what I'm looking for? You may have some feelings if you. Well, no. If you're like, keep current politics out of my comics, maybe don't read that one, y'all.
No, everyone should read that. That little corner of the universe is like phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
When they I don't want to spoil it, but then when they reveal like the history of violence and racism that this country has seen, like all has a point to it.
Right.
It's not just hate. It's crazy. It's highly recommended.
Yeah, but this one may trigger you based on current events. Anyway.
Absolutely.
All right. So Torma, we that took a lot longer than I thought it might, but we're going to keep rolling really quickly. You have some big news coming out of Oni Press. And you sent me an image that we're going to show people here in just a second. So you want to tell people what's going on with Out of Alcatraz?
Yes. So Out of Alcatraz, you all loved it. We all loved it. We told you to get it. And surprise, surprise, issue 1 sold out this week, which is great. This has been an amazing book from Chris Cantwell and Tyler Crook. It's the Kingdom Come of crime books. And if you haven't been reading it, now is your chance, because we are doing a second printing of number 1 to hit FOC the exact same time as number 2. Get those orders in, get those orders up. If you haven't been to your LCS yet this week, see if they still have copies of Out of Alcatraz, because I've been hearing from a lot of shops this week. Hey, do you have any extras? Hey, do you know where I can get some more of number one? Like, we had a huge presentation with a bunch of retailers on Monday, and yeah, they were saying like, oh yeah, we've got a few copies left here and there already, and so many subs have picked it up. If you haven't been reading it or haven't heard about Alcatraz, it's an amazing tale of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. So back in the 60s, 3 men escaped Alcatraz, and their bodies were never found. This is their story. This is what, I don't want to say like could have happened, because they escape Alcatraz and they find that escaping Alcatraz was not the hardest part. They've escaped into this brand new layer of hell, basically. It's really, really good. If you're a fan of Brian Azzarello, if you're a fan of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, don't wait for the trade on this one. Pick up number one. It feels like it's pulled straight from like the, comic book spinner racks of the 60s and 70s, from the old crime noir books from back in the day. Like, don't miss out on Out of Alcatraz.
Absolutely. So what else? Anything else you want to tell us about what's going on over at Oni Press that we should be paying attention to?
Let's see. I mean, you guys have already, checked out Plague House. Plague House is a big horror one. We talked about it earlier in the stream. Free for All is amazing. Get out to your shops and grab that. Let's see if we can sell that guy out too. Let's see what else is coming up. Oh, one that I'm super excited for. The Goddamn Tragedy, another one shot that we have coming up. It's I've been pitching it like, it's probably too much, but a little bit like Cannibal Holocaust meets the Oregon Trail, as it's a tale of a family as they're it's a tale of a family as they're trying to survive the Yukon, and it's a young girl who's now much older who's like recounting this like unsolved like story, and her father makes a terrible error of straying off the path too much and comes face to face with a part of nature that not too many people see. Let's just say that.
And don't miss out on Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave.
Yes.
Which has been fantastic and freaking me out, and I love reading.
Perfect. That's what I love to hear. I want people freaked out. We want people freaked out. Yeah. These have been amazing. Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave. Think Appalachian horror with a little bit of a Hellblazer thrown in there, right? If you're looking for that next John Constantine style fix, please, please, please. Justin Jordan does an amazing job on that. I've loved all of his stuff. Strange Town of Luther Strode, Strayer. Yeah. Always bringing the grit and the grime.
I've been calling it Hatfields and McCoys meets Supernatural.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that, Kyle. Actually, yeah, Hatfields and McCoys meet Supernatural.
Yep, the Winchester brothers, if they were in the Hatfields and the McCoys. So check that one out as well. So let's move into our top 10. Guys, the top 10 is something Mathias usually picks. I got to pick it this week. These are 10 covers on FOC that I'm excited for. They may not be the covers that you like. Your shop is going to be ordering the most of, but they're covers that I think might get missed, or again, that as we talked about, Mark Spears is a surefire seller, but maybe giving some other things a chance. So that's kind of how I picked this week. So let's get into it. We're going to start with, oh no, I'm in the wrong screen. How do I do this? How do I fix this? I'm going to do this. Torma, we can still hear you.
Okay.
Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, number 1 of 5. This is the Ricky Yagawa variant. I just like this because the vibes are cool, and it kind of reminds me of that era of this story where it's just them sitting in an alley in Japan waiting and having a deep conversation.
Yep.
Number 9, Los Monsters. Number
that.
1, this is the Dan Panosian cover. Dan is doing his... Yeah. Werewolf with a Gun. But Dan Panosian is doing his best work right now, guys, I think, of his career. So check this one out. Again, this is a whole town populated by universal monsters. And like, again, the werewolf is working at the bank and stuff like that. So check that out. Doom's Division number 2. This is the Betsy Cola team up cover. This book is on the list for one reason and one reason only. Marvel Rivals.
Yes.
These characters are very popular in Marvel Rivals, and these covers have been selling like hotcakes. So if you want one, make sure you let your LCS know ahead of time to make sure they can get you one. Captain Planet #1. This is the cover D Ben Oliver cover.
So sick.
Yeah, I like this cover better than I like the A. I will say it.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think this is I think the Mark Spears cover is really cool, but I think this gives you a different look at Captain Planet. Just the perspective and the way he looks.
Yeah, I like that he's smiling, and I like the color tones behind him. You know,
right? It really does kind of feel like the whole Captain Planet, Earth, Wind, Fire, Heart, or whatever.
Exactly.
All coming together in the sort of Megazord that is Captain Planet.
Yeah, this magic Megazord. Yeah.
#6, Spider-Verse Venomverse #1. This is the Greg Land, and I picked it for the shoulder pads.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that a Yellowway?
That is a first cover appearance of a new symbiote. So also very relevant.
Don't miss
for
out.
your collectors. Godzilla vs. X-Men #1. This is the Lee Garbett versus variant. I love these Lee Garbett fight poster variants. Maybe it's the wrestling fan in me.
Yeah, the fight posters. The one for the Hulk and the FF with the thing. Like, if I could get this blown up as a normal, 24 by 36 poster, like, I'd have it framed in my basement.
Yep, there we go. I figured out how to get you on screen. Yay.
Oh, hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
Picking my nose.
All right. Department of Truth #1. This is the A cover. I just love this cover. The hands and the flag upside down and the whole, it fits this story really well. And these covers have always been super great.
Yep. The painted vibe is really cool.
Yep. All right. Out of Alcatraz #2. This is the B. This is the Olivier Dominguez cover.
Yes. He did the, what is it? He did the amazing, Orange Grove cover, as I call it, on #1. But yeah, he's a newer artist. He's been crushing it on these. His style, I want him to do interiors so bad, and I think we'll get there eventually. But his stuff is amazing.
But this cover, to me, and why I picked it, is it sort of encapsulates what this story is, right?
Yeah.
These guys have made it out of Alcatraz, but again, the looking behind your shoulder and seeing what's coming at you next is actually the hard part.
Right. Being paranoid, constantly, this constant stress, this constant threat of, having to go back.
Right. Absolutely. And there's more to it than that, even, we find out in issue 1. So super interesting. And I think, like I said, I think this encapsulates the vibe really well of the book. #2, Green Lantern #22. This is the B cover. This is Lucio Perillo. Look, I've never been attracted to Green Lantern before. But Lucio Perillo figured it out.
It's the hair. Yeah.
It really is the hair.
Has that coifness to it.
But I just think that's a great painting, and there's a lot you can do with that. And #1, Batman 159. This is the A cover. I don't know why I grabbed the A cover. Let me grab the B cover really fast here.
Yeah, Kubert's always good.
Yeah, this is, I grabbed the wrong cover. But let me grab the B cover really fast here, and we'll talk. And while I'm doing that, Torma.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can follow you and where they can follow Oni Press and where they can get all the information there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, so Oni Press, all the normal socials, all the normal, your Instagram, your X, your Blue Sky. I think we just got on Blue Sky as well. You can follow Torma at Tormantula. At Tormantula on Gmail. I believe on Blue Sky as well. I don't use Blue Sky as much, but if you type in, Torma from Oni Press, it'll bring you a million links too on Google. So yeah, follow me wherever you want. Give me a call. You can text me. I give my phone to everybody. It's 443-534-8327. I'm on the East Coast. Text me if you have any questions about Oni or comics in general. If you want any good tips for styling hair or, beards, whatever, just give me a text, give me a call. Again, 443-534-8327 or torma@onipress.com.
Yeah, email him. Don't text him. He's got a kid.
You can text him. Yeah.
Anyway, here is the Kubert cover.
Nice.
Of Batman 159. And the reason I picked this, and I could tell you why, is I think we can all agree that the second printing cover of Batman 608, the first Hush, is the better cover.
Yeah, agreed.
This gives me that vibe.
100%. I mean, anytime Kubrick gets to do Batman, I'm there. Like,
right.
And I love the rain, effect. It's like the little things in this cover, but it feels like Batman's usually dropping in on people, so it feels good to see like a villain kind of dropping in on him.
Right. Feels good to see Hush maybe having the power in this moment.
Right. I know like Hush kind of got nerfed after the original story. And then it wasn't Hush, and then it was Hush, and then whole bunch of stuff.
So again, this is Batman 159 cover B, the Andy Kubert cover. So check that out. Guys, thank you for being here. I thought we would go short and we didn't, which is great.
Heck yeah.
Thank you to Torma for being here and helping me out, filling in. Matthias will be back next week. I will be in the other chair.
Good stuff.
And we will probably have a guest next week and everything will be back to normal. So I want to thank you guys. Go to your local comic shop. If you don't know where there's a local comic shop nearby to you, head over to comicshoplocator.com. Type in the numbers of the area where you are, and it will tell you where there's a comic shop nearby to you. If that for some reason isn't working, Google always does. And if for some reason that isn't working, there is another product out there that I'm not going to that if you just search "find comic shops" will come right up. So check that out as well. So thank you to Torma. Thank you to everybody for being here. We will talk to you very, very, very soon. Stay tuned later today, 7 o'clock Eastern for Nikki's Art Show, 9 o'clock Eastern for Nancy McCann from Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited, and we will be back this weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.